Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back for another day. We are in a very, very interesting point as we keep going every single day into more interesting points to the downside. Thank you very much for joining me. It's an honor to have you with me. And yeah, generally, we are just in a very severe downtrend, aren't we? Very aggressive selling. And yet again, today we have gone another stage down. The last hour was very interesting. As you can see, that nice absorption there from when we come and tapped under 81k has produced quite a nice bounce so far. If it will last or not, we'll see. But nonetheless, that has produced quite a nice bounce. Does everyone like the thumbnail today? Do let me know in the chat. Short Video Guru, how we doing? Bobby's changed his name to Mogzilla. How we doing, mate? Yeah, Mogzilla. Suits you, mate. It suits you. Nice name, that. It's a nice name. Yeah, but we are getting a little push up on Bitcoin as we speak now. Can you imagine if that was the low in? Imagine that. Imagine if that was it. Done. Low in. Let's go and let's go to the upside. We'll see. Some point, of course, it is going to put a low in at some point, isn't it? And we are gonna go on a short squeeze recovery rally. So yeah, we'll see what price action is given to us today from the from the market gods. But yeah, does everyone like the thumbnail? I thought today, what better day than ever to do a little tongue-in-cheek thumbnail. So yeah, I made like at the end of a film, you know, when you go to the end and then you've got all the credits, put the main characters in there. Do let me know what you think of it, because yeah, I thought it was quite good anyway, and a little violin there, you know, going down with the ship. That Titanic scene, obviously, you know, if you're familiar, you'll know. If not, you won't know. But regardless of that, anyway, I'm waffling. Yeah. Welcome back to another stream. I've just realised we haven't even got Stonksy turned on. Let me put that on. Let's see what volume we got. We got decent volume on that. On that drop there. Nice volume. Stonksy's still red on the 1 hour. It's impeccable, innit? And we did close out the red from yesterday up here. Obviously, 5 minute shorter term time frames, shorter term trades, isn't it? As you can see, yeah, I mean, that was a strong reaction from there. And yeah, just generally, we're at a very interesting place, aren't we? We're at a very, very interesting place, considering how much and how aggressive we've sold off. I mean, where was we at the start of the week? The start of the week, we was up at 94, 95k, 96k. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating behavior, isn't it, by the market? It is fascinating. But yeah, let me know in the chat, you know, what are you guys thinking? You know, are you all okay for start? I hope, in all seriousness, you know, we can have a laugh and a joke about just the sheer state of the market, can't we? You know, we'll have a laugh and a joke about it and all that stuff. But on a serious matter, obviously, I hope everyone's okay. I hope everyone's not feeling too bad. If you are, of course, reach out to me or the Discord server, you know, whether you're in Stonksy or CSE, you know, just reach out to either one of us, you know, the team, or, you know, just in general in the server. Just reach out in there. You know, there's no shame in it at all. These are undoubtedly very testing times, especially if, you know, your performance isn't how you would wanted it to be. You know, if you've not really made as much as you thought you would, or if you've took some hits on some spot bags or whatever it is, of course, just reach out to one of us. You know, it's not the end of the world. The market will, of course, bottom at some point, and we will get some positive price action. So yeah, just know that, you know, you're not alone, and there's people here. Of course, if you're on YouTube, get it into the comments. Out to me directly. How we doing, my good friend? Great to see you in here. And yeah, I mean, just generally, we've got an hour and 15 minutes to go until open, so it's going to be quite interesting. Sean says I've sold. Quite happy with what I've ended up with because it is what it is. Now nuke Bitcoin to 30k and I'll buy it back. When did you sell, Sean? Did you sell this week, or is this like a thing that's come over the past like day or two? Hello again. Yes, Celtic Dragon, great to see you. Thank you very much for popping in. Every time I bought, it's going down. I hold myself not to sell at a loss when this dump happened. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, what I would say is, obviously, if you go to the daily, I mean, look at what a play by Stonksy that is. I mean, initially, this went against it, didn't it? Initially, this went against it. But, you know, once the momentum kicked in, like, what a short that is. Yeah. What I would say is, obviously, if you actually just zoom out, of course, on the daily and the weekly, we are into demand now. You know, obviously, we can go a little bit lower. You know, on the weekly, we could come and test this right at the bottom area. We could come and test 80k properly. We could test high 70s, whatever. But we are coming into, obviously, demand on the weekly and the daily. So it'll be interesting to see how here plays out. I do think that most people have just given up, haven't they? I mean, in my eyes, anyway, from what I've seen, I think most people have given up and kind of just lost all hope. In my opinion, I think it's better that it's done it this way rather than a slow bleed, because I think in terms for altcoins and just the rest of the market, it's better that we've got it over within, you know, a brutal kind of 3 weeks, and it is what it's been basically since we tagged 116k. It's just been nothing but sell off. But I do think it's better this way and just kind of getting it over with and not lagging it, instead of something like this where we just kind of drift down, you know, throughout December and then maybe into January or whatever. Like, instead of doing it that way and just taking weeks and weeks, maybe months, we've just kind of just gone turbo nuke, haven't we, and got it over with. Which, you know, if this is what the market needed to do, this is what the market needed to do. And we are into demand again. You know, we could come down here, but obviously this is the big area to hold. Of course, got Sailor's price down here. Sailor is now just almost 13% up on his buys, which is just crazy, isn't it? On that wick, he was actually under 10%. Look at that. On the bottom of that wick, he was 8.4% up on all his buys, which, when you consider just 3 weeks ago, start of November here, he was almost 50% up. So obviously they've bought over $40 billion, haven't they? So there was over $20 billion in a profit. And basically all that has just been erased within the span of 3 weeks, which is just crazy to think about, isn't it? You know, yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the maddest things. Of course, the other DATs as well, you know, Tom Lee is $4 billion underwater on his buys. We've already seen some DATs start to sell, haven't we? You know, so I can't remember. It was one of the Ethereum ones reported that they'd sold, I think it was last week or whatever, but they sold some of those again. How many have sold that we don't know about? You know, maybe some have already sold and they've just not released it. Stay safe, guys. Sitting with minus 35k unrealized P&L at the moment. Ouch. Is that Reggie, man? No, I think we've been through this before, haven't we? Reg, man, I think we've been through this before, haven't we? I remember this. You are not Reggie, man, are you? I don't think. I'm sure we've been through this before. But yeah, mate, you know, yeah, stay safe, of course. It's not nice to sit in them in the red like that, but you know, at some point the market will bottom if it hasn't. We are putting in a nice push up now, low time frame. I mean, we're back above 84k, which is good. Does Stonksy show support and resistance? It does, yes, it does. So you can see here, it's got this this red line here, so the dotted one. Now, when Bitcoin was above here, this was green to show support, and then obviously as we've come down and dropped below it, it's gone red for resistance. So we're currently at the daily, and as you can see, resistance up here. So it had resistance here and support here. Now, obviously, this has flipped, hasn't it, over the past like 2 weeks or so into resistance. Now, it hasn't plotted a support zone just yet, because obviously it goes off recent price action. Now, if you do actually go onto the settings, you can turn more on too. So we've got the major SR lines at the moment. If we want the minor ones, you can turn them on as well, and then it will add more. Now, these mean different things. The transparent ones mean the most recent one. So as you can see, nicely, it pulled that back down to there when we got back below. And then the other ones mean historical. But these change depending on time frame. So if we go to the 1 hour, you can see obviously you've got multiple levels here now to look for on the 1 hour. And again, these are the major ones, the big thick ones. They're the major ones, and then the other are minor ones. Again, you know, they mean different things. Now, as you can see, they're all red because we basically just fell through all of the support zones. So it's yet to mark on new support levels, unless if we recapture these will automatically flip back to green for support. But it changes based on the time frame. So you can see the 1 hour there. If we go to the 4 hour, you know, again, it will change, but you can see there it's got, this would have been green for support. And as you can see, since we dropped through, it's turned red for resistance. But yeah, you can choose to have whatever ones you want. I just like having the major ones on, personally. But I mean, this is a good response so far. This is a good response. Don't mind this at all. Don't mind this at all. Yeah, we'll take that for now. We'll most certainly take that for now. But I mean, can we get a bigger bounce today potentially? You know, can we get a bigger bounce today? That's the question, innit? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? Do you think we've reached a short-term bottom? Slowly selling for months. Bought a kitchen for the wife, and I remember you saying, yeah, I remember you saying, mate. I remember you saying about the kitchen. Good on you. I mean, you can walk away now, can't we? Whatever happens, what I would say is something that you'll probably be tested with at some point, Sean, is because, you know, like I said, at some point we'll bottom and we'll get a rally. Is at some point you will probably, because I expect, I don't know when, you know, whether it's from around about here or we drop into the 70s and go from there. I do expect at some point we go up and have quite a gnarly reversal towards 100k. Obviously, at some point you'll be tested mentally for, you know, getting FOMO and stuff. Just make sure you don't give into it. You're like, you've got your plan, you've sold now. Obviously, the one thing you don't want to do is then end up buying back higher and then end up, you know, having to sell again lower. So, yeah, you will be tested, mate. Again, it's not financial advice, but, you know, kind of just spiritual advice if you want. Just be prepared to be tested, because I do expect at some point we'll get a pretty gnarly short squeeze. But will this rally burst upwards? Hopefully. I mean, it's got every chance, hasn't it? I think a lot of people now are kind of waiting for the 70s, aren't they? Instead of buying in the 80s. Don't worry, everyone. No need to worry. I'm here. Superman arrives. The Ginger Queen arrives. All is well. The word Queen is a bit strange. So did you not mean the Ginger King? Did you not mean the Ginger King? Mate, if you want to wear a dress and put a wig on, that's fine by me. None of my business. My liquidation is at 2,000. Oh wait, bloody hell! How, Vegman? What size have you got on this trade? Holy hell! So you're currently at minus 35k with your liquidation at 2,000. I mean, you know, never say never, but 2,000 would be very brutal, wouldn't it? But what size have you got on this trade? If you don't mind me asking, anyway, how much margin have you got in there, and what leverage are you using? We bounced to 105 today. What, begin the bounce to 105 or bounce to 105 today? Imagine that. A 20% candle after all this selling. Yeah, I do think, you know, at some point we'll get a decent bounce. Yes, please. Yeah, I mean, at some point we'll get it's hard to imagine now, because we've been obviously just wrecked in terms of a bullish standpoint. on the chart. Although the structure's held, it's just obviously the velocity of the sell-off. Good, mate, good. That's good. I'm glad. All the best to you. Or honestly, all the best to you. No, Ginger Queen works. I had a revolution in time. Oh, God. Oh, God. Yeah, it's 100 ETH with 3x leverage. Jesus Christ. Oh. So 200 and... What did you enter at, if you don't mind me asking? What did you enter at, Resman? That's like that must be like nearly a $300,000 margin. Nearly $300,000 of margin. So you're at a nearly $1 million position. 3090. No, it's 100. Oh, sorry, right. So 100 ETH is your position size, right? Got it. Yeah, got it. 110k margin. I mean, yeah. Hopefully, mate. Hopefully you'd be safe there. I mean, for us to go down there, he's going to have to drop what, another 30%. Bitcoin, you would imagine, would be towards 60k at that point. Do you think? I don't know. Let's see. Let's have a look for you, my brother. So for us to get back to, let's just call, I know you're slightly above 2k, but let's just call it 2k for ease. So 2k would be here. So let's just call it 2k. That works anyway. So from here, I think, I mean, really, when you look at it, you have this range here, which obviously you've got 2.5k, and then you've got this range built up here. In my mind, anyway, this is a good retest for ETH here, in my mind. This is a good retest zone. We're basically just obviously testing for support where resistance was. And we actually never got that test on the way up. Once we expanded up, we never come back and tested this. So this could actually just be the retest. Alternatively, I think if we do drop into here, you've got this range, which once obviously provided accumulation. You would imagine, obviously, we would spend some time in there potentially. And again, you know, that still gives you a good $400 away. In the worst case scenario, and this is obviously very worst case, again, I don't know exactly how low we'd be talking on Bitcoin to get this, but because, you know, you've got factors like ETH, you know, ETH strength over Bitcoin and ETH Bitcoin, haven't you? You've obviously got this low, which is obviously maybe at some point going to get taken out over the next couple of years. Might not be now, but that would obviously be probably the main attraction for ETH. Obviously, if we was in like a even stronger downtrend than we are now. But I mean, to get that, yeah, you know, you have another 25% drop on ETH, which you would, you know, 15% on Bitcoin takes it to 70k. 20% takes it to 66. So you'd definitely be talking. You need to go below Sailor's entry for sure, you know, to get that. But mate, with all the will in the world, I really hope that you're safe on that position, because obviously that is not that's not a low amount of money, is it? And you know, potentially the risk could be very rewarding. You know, you've obviously gone into that with balls, and hopefully, mate, it will all turn out well. You just got to look at the high time frame. You know, for something like that, don't look at the 5-minute chart. Don't even look at the 1-hour chart. You really want to be looking at the daily, and stop yourself looking at any kind of toxicity and stuff, because this is something I put into the CSE Discord today. Was basically just saying, like, one of the, if you are struggling, like, either, you know, if you're just angry at the market, or you're a bit, you know, down and depressed about the market, or if you're just at a loss, you're just confused and you're just like, what is going on? The worst thing you can do at the moment is go on X and look at the timeline, because you're going to have people going, we're going to, it's over, you know, completely over. You're going to have people saying, we're going on to new highs for me. You're going to have people saying we're going down to 70k, 60k. People saying we're going to go down to 40k or 30k and liquidate Sailor. You're literally just going to, because these people never said this when we was above 100k or even in the 90s, did they? But as soon as price gets to a point of panic, people either like to engagement farm or just literally just spout crap. So yeah, you want to obviously just be a bit cautious about going on X if you are in that state of mind of, you know, you're confused, you're down, you're angry, whatever, because you'll just see all sorts of nonsense. You're better off just coming into the Discord server, whether that be Stonksy or CSE, and obviously just speaking to us or, you know, the members in there. What I could do is see if there is a bounce up. I could reduce like 10 to 15 ETH to make it a bit more safer. You could always add to your margin, yeah. You could always add to your margin. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, you don't feel like you have to say this because obviously it's in public and, you know, we're on a live stream in front of other people. But is that kind of like all you've got in crypto? That's like your whole like liquidity. That is your whole margin, or is that like just what you allocated for that trade? I'm just wondering, obviously, where you are in a standpoint of potentially adding the position to maybe obviously pull the entry down if you wanted to, or worst case scenario, obviously you don't really ever want to get to a position to add margin on that, because if it got anywhere near 2k, then, you know, you're like 50% away almost, aren't you, from 3k from your entry? So it'd just be like a complete and utter annoyance more than anything, because you're just gonna have to sit on it for ages. I've been around a while and learned all that stuff. Yeah, good, that's good. Well, I told you months ago we were in a bear market. Yeah, you've got loads of that, haven't you? You've got loads of that. Is there Bitcoin support 83,500, which is wick below, but seems to be trying to hold? Yeah, I would, well, depending on obviously what time frame you're looking at, but personally, I would say on a daily and weekly standpoint, we are basically at support until we go down to Sailor's Entry, because Sailor's Entry now ties basically in with the low of April, which is obviously the SR test of here. Now, we didn't actually get like a full clean SR test. In April, it would have really been better if we kind of went down to like 72k to obviously test like the full area. But obviously, this is where we bounced off that wick and obviously found demand here. But basically, Sailor's Entry pretty much lines up with the lows of April, which is either good or bad. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, I think, you know, I think all this zone basically, and it's a wide zone. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's a wide zone. So you may not want to draw it like this, but on a high time frame outlook, you know, obviously a high time frame outlook, this is kind of all demand on the daily and the weekly, because obviously the idea is it's a high time frame move. You know, for instance, if you believe that we are not going below the bottom of this demand, which would be obviously, you could extend it to the wicks. Obviously, daily candle closures were there. But say if you believe that we didn't go in there, what's the difference in buying at 80k or 82, or buying at 78 or 80, if inevitably you think we come all the way back up here or even go to new highs? So it's just about the outlook that you have, really. But all this here is without doubt, you know, demand, high time frame. You know, that's all demand. And again, you know, it may come down lower. We've really chewed right into it there. But yeah, it's into an interesting spot for sure. And, you know, how long are people going to be able to short from without any risk? What happens if we go below Sailor's Entry? No, he's not licked. So the problem if we go below Sailor's Entry is, one, you just have the old narrative that he's now in a negative. You'll then obviously have fear and rumors spreading about he'll be liquidated at 60k, 50k, 40k. Really, he isn't liquidated at any sort of level until. So the way it works is he won't just like be manually liquidated if we get to a certain level. It's not like when you place a trade on BLOFIN or whatever and you have a liquidation point. The main issue for them is obviously the debt repayments and when they owe debt back and when they have to make debt repayments and interest payments in the form of dividends from their offerings. So if I just show you this, they actually tweeted it out yesterday, which is in some way quite funny in a way, because we're already well below what they tweeted out. But they actually gave a breakdown of it yesterday. Where is it gone? Where is it? Don't tell me they've deleted it. It was tweeted by Strategy. I hope they haven't deleted it. Hang on. I'm sure it was tweeted by Strategy. Right, they've deleted it. Let me see on my phone. Hang on. Let me see on my phone. Because I bookmarked it. Yeah, they've deleted it. They've deleted it. Which is maybe not. I mean, that's not the best thing in the world, is it? So basically, on this tweet, what they were outlining was the Bitcoin price was at 87k. And basically what they were saying was they were just outlining, obviously, how much debt they've got to pay back by when, but also the dividends for the offerings. So, you know, like the STRC, the STRF, or the STRK and all that stuff. They were just outlining then. Now, at 87k, they used the 87k price point on Bitcoin, and they said that they had enough dividends to pay 70 years of dividends to their offerings. But that was using Bitcoin at 87k. Obviously, the further low we go, the further down MSTR goes, which in some way or another, it is kind of like a pyramid. Not a pyramid scheme, but like a pyramid, because obviously, like, you've just got levels. You've got Bitcoin at the top, then you've got MSTR underneath, and then you've got all these offerings lower and lower and lower. But obviously, if the top starts to crumble, it just kind of eats away at the rest of it. Because the lower Bitcoin goes, the lower it brings MSTR down. It's a real complex thing. I don't think that they'll really be forced to sell or liquidated, if you will, unless we see some type of thing like the lost decade, which obviously happened after the Great Depression, I think, was it? The lost decade? Basically just kind of horrendous macroeconomic conditions and horrendous stock market conditions, which basically mean that, like, obviously, like, Bitcoin just kind of rammed down and doesn't move anywhere, because the main problem for MicroStrategy will be the debt repayments that mainly come in 2028, I think, are the big ones in 2028. So that'll be the big ones. But in terms of Bitcoin itself, obviously, the lower Bitcoin goes and the lower MSTR goes, you'll just see, obviously, more FUD, more rumors, more fear and panic that is going to be liquidated. So, yeah. Hope that's a good explanation anyway. Let me know in the chat. The problem is, the lower MSTR goes, he can't borrow more. So what they'll have to do is they'd have to issue more of these things that they've got. So if I make a list now, let's or is it create new list? No, is it new list or watch list? Yeah, create new list. Let's see. So let's create a new watch list. So obviously at the top you've got MSTR, but then you've also got things like these STR, so STRC, STRK, STRF, STRD, and there's one more. What's the other one? Or is that it? I thought there was 5 now. I think it's STR. What is it? STRE. No. Yeah? Luxembourg Stock Exchange. Maybe that's it. STRE. Is it? I don't know. No. I'm sure. I thought there was 5 now. Hang on. Let's see. What was the latest one that they done? Now, these are all... This is really complex, and I'll be honest, I personally don't understand all of it, because it's like a really complex way of, like, borrowing money, I think, and stuff like that. It was when STRD. Yeah, this one. So maybe there actually is only 4. Maybe there's only 4. Maybe there was 3, and they added a 4th. Anyway, so these are the offerings, and obviously how they've raised money and stuff. Now, individually, these pay different dividends. So they have to obviously meet these dividend payments and pay the interest to holders. So as you can see here, this is a variable rate. This one is at 8%. This is 10%. And then this is 10% as well. But they mean different things, and obviously have different risk and payouts and stuff like that. But they have to meet these dividend payments for the people that hold these and obviously, yeah, hold that. But obviously, the more that MicroStrategy goes down, the more shares they'll have to give to make these dividend payments. I think that's how it works anyway. It just kind of, I'll be honest, it's kind of like really one big complex kind of sticky thing. But basically, the main thing is that they need to obviously have the money to make the dividend payments and also pay back the debt. Now, they actually did outline how much debt in that post yesterday. They actually outlined how much debt they had. But they've deleted it because I'm guessing, obviously, when they tweeted it out, Bitcoin was 87k and we dropped another 6k. So, yeah, they went and deleted it. But yeah, that's where we're at anyway. Again, for my understanding of it, I hope that came across in some sort of explanation. If it didn't, let me know. But that's kind of like my complete understanding. It's a bit annoying how they deleted that. Yes, unless it's in the replies. Oh wait, no, there it is. Bloody hell, what was I looking at? I thought they deleted it. I completely went past that. Here it is. Here's the tweet. Yeah, so obviously at current Bitcoin levels, which was 87,300, again, you know, obviously higher than we are now, they have 71 years of dividend coverage, assuming the price stays flat. So obviously, assuming that Bitcoin just stayed at that, they'd have 71 years of dividend coverage, obviously through shares, I'm guessing, to pay out dividends on them offerings. So obviously on these offerings here. So you'd have 71 years for that. So at the moment, they're fine. Obviously, the problem comes is the more it falls, obviously the lower MSTR goes and the more shares they'll have to give out. Any Bitcoin appreciation beyond 1.41% a year fully offsets our annual dividend obligations. So that's in terms of obviously the dividend repayments. So this is here. So as you can see, Bitcoin credit. So this is the offerings here. And that's obviously what they'll have to repay in MSTR shares for... Oh, so there is another one? STRF, STRC, STRE, STRK, and STRD. Which one am I missing? STRF, STRE, is it I'm missing? Yeah, STRE. It's this one, but yeah. Anyway, add it on. So that's that, but obviously the other main thing is these. So these are the convertible notes that they've raised money off. Now, as you can see, they've got some due in 2028, which is $1 billion. So not really that much due in 2028. That's just $1 billion. 2030, you've got $2 billion. But cumulative notional, I'm guessing that's with the interest. I'm guessing anyway, I don't know. So in 2028, yeah, $1 billion. 2030, $3 billion. So as you can see, it's a long time off as well. So basically, looks to me like obviously they're just... The way that they've built this is assuming that Bitcoin carries on its high time frame trend of every couple of years going to new highs and creating a new floor. So obviously, you know, halving, new high, new floor, bear market, or drop, you know, dip, whatever you want to call it. Halving, but no one really talks about the halving anymore, do they? No one really pays attention to the halving or really talks about the halving. But again, you know, next halving, higher, you know, higher, and then obviously bear market, new floor comes higher. So basically, that's what they're betting on. Now, there obviously is a point in which you kind of get the feeling, you get the idea on Bitcoin where it's kind of just like the law of, what's it like, the law of reducing returns or something like that, where basically, because obviously Bitcoin's at such a big valuation, it takes a lot more money to push it. So it's not kind of doing, you know, when it first started off and it did a couple of 100x, then next cycle it did, you know, 20, 30x, and then next cycle after that it did, you know, 10x or whatever. Obviously, it's like diminishing returns, isn't it, each time, because it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It requires more money to push it higher and higher and higher. But yeah, if you do want to have a look at that, it's obviously on Strategy's page, yeah. So go take a look at that if you want. But Bitcoin is not looking too bad, to be fair. It's not looking too bad. I wouldn't say. Maybe we're gonna be doing a decent bounce. Hopefully. I'm sure they said, yeah, but I think the problem is coding. Well, I don't think it's money related. I think it's shares. I think it's MSTR shares. I think that's what kind of they're paying that with. And I don't know exactly about the convertible notes. I don't know whether that is due back in shares as well, or whether that's due back in money. I think it's probably going to be shares. I don't know. But it's kind of like this two-way thing. Without using too much of a bad example, it's obviously like anyone obviously remembers Luna UST, the mechanism behind that, where both of them are kind of like pegged in some sort of way to each other. It's obviously like that, isn't it? Because, Bitcoin up, MSTR up, Bitcoin down, MSTR down. But that basically means they need to sell Bitcoin eventually to pay off. No, they won't, because I think they'll just pay it off in shares, in MSTR shares. It would be good on a Friday. It would be good to get a push back up, wouldn't it? Hello, Jeff. How we doing, mate? What are your thoughts on the cost to mine Bitcoin? I don't know what I don't know what it is. I'll be honest. It depends what miner. It depends on the miner as well. Like, it depends on the miner for how efficient their equipment is, and whether they're using obviously like renewables for an energy source or what. I don't really know what the average price is now for miners to mine. I know that a lot of them went the renewable route, and obviously have a real, like BitDeer, for example, the BitDeer stock that I show sometimes on here. These guys are really efficient when it comes to mining. They did anyway a few years ago. They had the best. This was probably about 2 years ago. They had the best efficiency out of all of them. I'm not sure about the rest. Iron, obviously Bitcoin miner. I think their rally was due to hopping into AI though, weren't it? Let's see what some of these are doing. So a lot of these aren't even down. I mean, if you look at Bitmain, that's actually up pre-market. SBET's down slightly. UPXI, some of these took a big hit yesterday, didn't they? Go on, Bitcoin. Go on. That's what we want, isn't it? Come on. I mean, it would be good to see, US Open and just kind of gets absolutely bought the shit out of, wouldn't it? That would be nice. That would be really nice. I saw somewhere the cost to mine was an average of 112k. I mean, your thoughts on that versus the current price? Yeah, I mean, I think it's a discussion that we don't really have anymore, innit? Because everyone's just so obsessed with like the DATs buying and the ETFs and stuff like that. I mean, what position our mine is in, I don't know. Let me ask Grok. Let's ask Grok. see what Grok says. So obviously, yeah, this was a year ago. But there isn't really, obviously, any, to my knowledge anyway, unless energy's gone up, there isn't really any sort of reason why this should have gone up in the past year. It's obviously quite low. I can't see it being 112k. I mean, you look at Marathon, 40k, obviously, and again, this is where it differs depending on obviously their mining equipment and stuff like that. Even the thing is as well, though, if you actually think about it, for the past year, minus the crash in March and April, miners have had like a whole year to sell Bitcoin above 100k, haven't they? You know, they've had a whole year to sell Bitcoin 100k, so you know, a lot of them should have got nice profits if they were selling. Let me ask about BitDeer. So they're at 40k as well, apparently, according to Q324. I mean, to my knowledge, anyway, I don't know really why that should have changed over the past year. It's not like unless the difficulty's gone up. But I can't see the difficulty have gotten up that quick, that much for, the cost to go in like 2x. Obviously, the mining difficulty changes, and the hash rate changes, but I don't think it would have gone up that much to the point where, some miners would have saw 2x the expense. That's obviously a lot of energy in it. At this point, I just want to break even. That's where the market's cruel, isn't it, mate? That's where the market's cruel. What would be your break-even price? On, I don't know, whatever. What would be your break-even price? What are your thoughts on the extended 5-year cycle idea? Rubbish. Honestly, it's pointless. Honestly, I wouldn't even waste your energy on that type of thing, Celtic Dragon. People are just making stuff up now, basically, in my opinion. And this is what you'll get. the lower we go, people will literally just start making random stuff up. I think it's just people are just making that to try and fit the narrative that we've not topped. Basically, they're just obviously just designing something and just making something up, sort of the 5-year cycle, to basically fit the narrative of we've not topped. Basically, you don't even really want to care about that. All you want to care about is where Bitcoin is on the chart. You don't want to try and guess if we're in some. But, if we reclaim key levels higher, you can then look higher, can't you? That's basically all you want to do. And at the moment, there's nothing to suggest that the 4-year cycle is dead, because we've actually currently topped where we should have topped timeline-wise for the 4-year cycle. So I wouldn't really pay too much attention to it, because, it's literally just theory in it and people just making stuff up, because you would have never have suggested that 6 months ago, would you? A 5-year cycle. And again, there's no data for that. We've been in a 4-year cycle since Bitcoin was created, and people are just now creating a 5-year cycle to fit the narrative, because probably they want it to have another leg up. So yeah, I would just say just focus on the chart. Honestly, just focus on the chart and don't get too caught up mentally with all this rubbish of, if the 4-year cycle's not around anymore, then we'll do this. If this is a 5-year cycle, whatever. Mate, we had it last cycle. I don't know if you was around or not, but last cycle we had loads of people saying we're in a super cycle, we're doing this, we're doing that, like Bitcoin's not topped, 2022 it's going to go to this number or whatever, and we're in a super cycle. And look what happened, it just stuck to the 4-year cycle. So yeah, I would just say, honestly, just look at the chart. What I would say is, minus the 5-year cycle thing, is we are into territory, where I put this into the Discord yesterday. Hang on. We're into territory, of course, where we've actually done the biggest pullback now. We've actually done the biggest pullback out of all of them. But we are in the territory of, obviously they've all been different pullbacks, but we are in the territory of, if we're sticking to, kind of in and around these numbers, give or take a couple of percent, we are in that kind of realm, aren't we, of there? Now, the question obviously is that then, a rally to new highs, or is it a kind of complacency bounce for a lower high and then we go lower like that? That is the question. And again, the chart will tell you that, not obviously looking at if we're in a 4-year cycle, 5-year cycle, super cycle, whatever cycle, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would just literally just stick to the chart and just kind of try and ignore noise like that, because you will just get all these sorts of random ideas and just nonsense thrown at us on the timeline, because obviously Bitcoin's just in free fall. So yeah, personally, anyway, that's just on a personal level. If you think it's possible or whatever, then don't listen to what I say. It's just my opinion. I could easily be wrong. I'm more than fine to hold my hands up and say I was wrong, but I just think it's nonsense. Just look on the chart. Hello, Jimmy. How we doing? Personally, yeah, I think this is just like all kind of one big shakeout, and I think kind of a lot of it has been driving what Coding has said. I think obviously the reality, also the fact that we just kind of needed a pullback anyway, didn't we? Like, personally, I didn't think it would go this deep, and I didn't also think it would go this quick. I did actually have kind of these regions marked out on the chart, but I thought we would get some type of squeeze up and then continue down if we wanted to. Instead, it's just done it in one straight line, which is fine. That's good. We've just kind of got it over with. If it's bottomed or if we're close to a bottom. But I think the AI trade, yeah, I don't think it's dead. I think we're just kind of having just a routine pullback on everything, which is sometimes obviously what we need. And also probably the reality that the Fed is probably not going to cut in December, obviously hitting the markets as well. Maybe we're getting a front run on that aspect. I don't know. Oh, wait, the rate cut odds went from 27 to 70. Oh, so something's happened then. Something happened in the past hour. Let's see. This has gone up a little bit. That's gone up a little bit. That was at 3% yesterday. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it has, hasn't it? Look at that. Look at that divergence there. Massive swap, hasn't it? Massive. Interesting. Something's happened in the past hour. I don't know what. Rate cuts probably went up, yeah. But I mean, personally, again, it's just personal. I think we probably see higher across all the Mag 7. I think Nvidia goes higher. I think all the rest of them go higher. I don't think this cycle in terms of TradFi is over yet. I'd be more looking into next year. We've not really had, even though they've been grinding up, we've not really had like complete blow off top, because there's always the saying, isn't there? Is obviously everyone's obsessed with the AI bubble, me included. Me included. I'm obsessed with the AI bubble. I think it's fascinating. But obviously, there's the saying is like the point of a bubble is that no one sees it's coming. That's the point of a bubble, is that only a few people see it. Now, in my mind, because everyone's so obsessed with the AI bubble, what would make sense would be we go to a level where even the people that think we're in a bubble kind of forget that and just think, bloody hell, I was wrong. And obviously, you kind of don't really get any sort of noise around an AI bubble. Once we get to that point, I think that is the point where we'll then start to see reversal, because obviously kind of like you'll just have full euphoria. Now, what would that be? I don't know. Nvidia at 250, 240, 270? I don't know. We'll just have to see. Fed Waller made a comment, so I'm guessing he's basically said that the majority of the Fed want to cut or something. He must have said something, mustn't it? It must have said something. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion on that anyway. I'm just going to have to go to the toilet. So obviously I won't be long. I will leave you obviously with the chart. Hopefully it's higher when I get back. In the meantime, of course, make sure if you're watching, drop a like on the stream. How many likes are we on? 12 likes, not bad. We're halfway there. If you haven't liked, please do scroll down, hit the like button. Of course, subscribe if you are new. We do have as well 50%. Yes, that's 50% off the Stonksy annual plan with code BLACK50. So you can obviously find a website down below. If you want to email in and ask any questions, you'll obviously find the email on the website as well if you want to ask any questions before you sign up. But yeah, 50% off the annual plan with code BLACK50 for Black Friday. And yeah, obviously sign up, like, subscribe, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. Take some time to have a break, and we'll come back. Actually, hang on. I'll get the poll going so you can vote on the poll as well. Let's get the... There you go. Vote on the poll as well. And yeah, I'll be back in just a few minutes. Right, I'm back. Thank you for your patience. Let's get rid of that. I don't think it's manipulation. I don't think it's manipulation, really. It's literally just the market doing its thing. People are selling as well. Like, don't forget that. Like, people are actually selling. It's not manipulation. The market couldn't go any higher, so it has to go lower. Now, the speed of which it's gone lower is probably just is due to a few things, really. But I wouldn't really say it's manipulation. It's just the chart goes where it needs to go. And it's better that we get it over with fast. I mean, would you rather get it over within 10 days or get it over within a month and a half? Because it'd definitely be worse for altcoins if we got it over in a month and a half, because we'd be just grinding down really slowly. We've not had the blow off top. Do you really think one could still come? I mean, I don't think we'll really ever get kind of like a blow off top like we got the last cycles. I mean, if you actually go and look at it, I assume maybe you meaning on altcoins, because if you actually go on Bitcoin, like, and you look at it, we have actually like ran up very, very hard, haven't we? If you actually look at Bitcoin, we've ran up very, very hard. So I don't know. I mean, on Bitcoin, I don't think we're going to get anything. It depends what you mean by a blow off top as well. Do you mean like just like a straight line from like literally just a straight line to like 200k or something? No, I don't think so. I think if we was lucky enough to get another high, it will come somewhere here and just kind of stick to the theme, like kind of like, you know, somewhere here and then something like that. I think we'd be very lucky to get something like that. Obviously, you know, it would be a gift by the market. I think there will be, quote unquote, an alt season at some point. And I actually think before Christmas we could have a mini alt season. And I'm not just speaking out my arse here, because look at the way dominance is starting to fall off. Now, dominance has been falling off since we started selling off, which shows obviously what we know is that altcoins, some altcoins anyway, have been stronger than Bitcoin on the way down, which is obviously a good thing. Now, I think a bounce on Bitcoin before year end in towards 100k would give us some really like gnarly performance on some altcoins. So like Solana, Hype, any that have been, you know, remotely strong during, I mean, obviously you say Hype, but that, I mean, that's just currently falling off. But, you know, Solana has been quite strong during this dip compared to Bitcoin. ETH Bitcoin, I mean, you look at that as well. You know, obviously for the past kind of like 2 weeks, ETH Bitcoin has barely nudged, has it? It's not gone to new lows or anything. So ETH, you know, has been relatively strong against Bitcoin on this dump. So it does set up for quite nice altcoin performance if we can find a bottom and obviously put one in. In terms of a blow off top, I mean, it's just anyone's guess, isn't it? It depends what you mean as well. I think the main issue is that everyone wants more upside to sell their bags. So it's kind of like, well, who is going to put that money up front, and why would the market just put that money up front for people to use it as exit liquidity? I think that's the main issue, isn't it? Is like, it's kind of like everyone just wanting another leg higher so they can offload the bags, more so than the market just going there because of, you know, demand or whatever other reason, you know, narrative or whatever. I think that's probably the main issue, is like, why, you know, why would it go up there? And again, it could do, of course it could, yeah, it definitely could. I mean, doesn't mean that the actual top is in. You know, we could see another leg higher, but in terms of a blow off top, I don't think we will get anything like massive on Bitcoin. But I mean, from here to just under 150k would be almost 100%, wouldn't it? No, 100% for me would be 165. So you'd be talking like 80% or something. which would be really, I mean, it'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? I just don't know. Yeah. ETH hit 4,900 on a blow off top, didn't it? Yeah. I mean, the ETH one is the ETH one is probably one of the wildest things about this whole cycle, in my opinion, because that's bought over 10% of the supply. Tom Lee himself bought like what have they bought, like 13 billion, and it still didn't go over all-time high that much. Literally just had a little fart over. Didn't even get to 5k, did it? I think that's probably the maddest story out of all of it. Proper man poo. Oh mate, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was so good. I mean, 125 could well be the blow off top. Yeah. I mean, I said it, didn't I, on your stream, Wizzo? I keep saying that as well, but I'm proper made up with it. I'm proper made up with the fact that it said it publicly as well. Like, it's on the internet forever, that. It'd be better if I had a big, massive, dirty swing short position to pull up alongside it. Like, but I mean, saying it when hardly anyone else was saying it, I'll take it. Got you up on the new setup. Yes, Fever. Great, mate. Great. Well, make sure you get me up, and obviously make sure you get Wiz's streams up as well when Wiz goes live. Make sure you get Wiz up on your new setup too when Wiz goes live. I mean, I'm interested to see what kind of open we get today. I think the response has been quite well. That is a nice hourly candle there to put in at kind of like a local low. And the biggest thing would be is if that is, say for instance, that is a local low, or turns out to be, the low of this move, whatever you want. The biggest thing because we're going into a weekend, is you don't want something like this where we crawl up and then we get another one of these rounded tops where momentum just runs out and then we roll over then on Monday, Tuesday and just go to new lows. That's obviously what we want to avoid. We don't want to put in another lower high like we have done. So it'd be interesting to watch out for that. But I mean, that could definitely be a local. I mean, that was a strong reaction there, wasn't it? So that could be a local low, or it could be the low of this move. But I mean, the most important thing is obviously the reaction, because we want to build now some consistent upside with limited downside, don't we? Like we just don't want another bloody rounded top and then just complete nuke again come the new week. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see though. I mean, only time will tell. Only time will tell. I mean, it's largely all guesswork in it, because you just got to you've got to kind of run through the scenarios, haven't you? Has Bitcoin bottomed here? Will it bottom within this region? If so, what would that mean then? And or if it goes down here, what will happen or whatever? Like, we need to see it for ourselves, don't we? I would be very confident that the bottom's in. If we put in a green daily candle today, I think that would be it. That would be unbelievable. That would be like an unbelievable daily candle. If we put in a green daily candle today, that would be wild. And that's kind of like the response we want to see, and kind of the demand we need to come in to obviously shake off the grip of the sellers on the market. But I mean, it's a lot to ask, innit? That would obviously be some big absorption. That would be almost 7k absorption from the daily low. But we need to see some sort of strength to know that a low is in. But yeah, we don't want to just round off and just fall off again. That would be obviously the worst thing for the market. Apart from that, it's just a waiting game, innit? It's literally just a waiting game. I mean, the good thing is we're going into a weekend. So that's a good thing, because obviously ETFs can stop dumping and we have the potential for a weekend squeeze. But again, we want kind of a weekend squeeze to then maybe lead into like some sort of higher low, rather than just round off and just completely full retrace and back to mid 70Ks. That's obviously what we want. What's the poll doing? So most of you think down. Do make sure. Oh, bloody, got a lot of people in. Make sure you drop a like on the stream, most of all. And of course, vote on the poll before closing. I'm going to close it in a minute. Of course, if you do want to join Stonksy, we've got 50% off. Yes, 50 off the annual plan. So that is with code BLACK50. You can obviously find the link to the Stonksy website in the description to take you to that page. Or if you do want to email us in and ask some questions about Stonksy, or ask about the plan itself, or if you want to pay in crypto, email in, and yeah, I can obviously answer them for you. There is an option on the website to pay in crypto anyway, so you can do that. It goes through Coinbase Commerce. That's a nice slick payment portal. But yeah, if you've got any questions, obviously you can find the email on the website too. But this will be running for the next week. Maybe run it into Cyber Monday. But yeah, big discount on the annual plan. That's under £500 for the whole year. Whole year for under £500. That gets you access to everything: the indicator, oscillator, the Discord server, and the bots on BLOFIN too. I mean, a recovery to about 150, 160, bloody hell, as the lower end of what was originally predicted as a low, all-time high for Bitcoin. But more chance of ETH leading alts to get to 6K. I mean, the thing is though, like, the main thing you want to be doing on that is like, who though? Like, what do you mean was originally predicted, but by who? That's the problem, innit? Is like, by who? Who predicted that? Because if someone was predicting $300,000 this cycle, I would probably just never listen to them ever again, because that's just complete nonsense in my eyes. The problem is that people look at past performance and assume it's going to do it again. So, you know, people will look at like 3K to 60K in, you know, 2020, 2021, a 20x, and think it's going to do it again. That is nowhere near the same as going from, you know, 15, 16K up towards 300,000 or over 300,000. Like, the money that it takes to move Bitcoin from 100K to 150K is absolutely phenomenal. It's obviously not as much money to move it from 30K to 60K. You know, it's obviously a smaller amount of money. So, yeah, I would just say, like, by who though? Like, who predicted that to be a low all-time high for Bitcoin? Because no one knows, do they? Like, at the end of the day, it's all just guesswork. Really, the chart is your compass, innit? The chart is your compass. The chart tells you where price probably needs to go or could go. And all you can do from that is gather as much data as you can and run with it. That's why Stonksy is so good. I mean, if you look at Stonksy on the daily, short from up here, yes, you know, we had a recovery bounce, didn't we? But of course, the daily is a high time frame. You need more than just like a week for something like this to play out. And, you know, there's the drop on it. The hourly, as you can see here, catching the pumps up. Caught one drop here from 108 down. Little trade, pump back up. That was sideways. This pumped up all the way there. That was a couple K pump. And then, of course, on this dump, you can see into the red background. First one done, 102 to 95.5. Exited that one. Had an hour out of the background, back into the red. And then from 94 all the way down to where we are now, 83. At the end of the day, you know, if you need kind of additional compass guidance, you know, for the chart as your compass, Stonksy is obviously, what could we relate it to being a compass? Stonksy is the telescope, if you will. So if the chart's your compass, Stonksy is the telescope. So yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, there it is in on the screen for you now, the performance of Stonksy on this dip. And, you know, if you go to even like if you want a low time frame, obviously the 5-minute chart is phenomenal. We love the 5-minute chart. As you can see, the latest one here, 92 down to 87, 91 all the way up to 93, closed out up here above entry. This one, that was around break even. This one, nice, 93 down to 91.5. And you got to remember, obviously, this is the 5-minute chart. So this isn't obviously going to give you like a mega swing position of like a 10K move or whatever. But obviously, this captures the biggest volatility in the market and obviously the biggest moves. So, it may not capture all of the move, like, this one, but it caught 92 down to 87. It's pretty good going, in it. Yes, it didn't follow through, but at the end, it's a low time frame, and it's a 5-minute chart, not a 1 hour. This one here down to there. So, yeah, if you're looking, to improve your performance, improve your trading, Stonksy is on offer, 50% off the annual, black 50. Links in the description or email us in. But we did go from 15k to 126, so we just need a good old bear market. Exactly. I don't know about the 30s. But yeah, that's something that has obviously been on my mind for a while. Is like, I never really understood the question of when will the bull market start, because really the question was when are alts going to do something. But if you look at Bitcoin, from in and around the lows, it ended up doing 685%, which is obviously a 7.5x. Sorry, almost an 8x. It's almost an 8x, which is just phenomenal, isn't it? Like, that is unbelievable performance for a just under 3 years. Just under 3-year time horizon. Just under 3 years to get an 8x. I think we're kind of like warped, aren't we, in crypto, to thinking that is bad. It's not. It's phenomenal. So in terms of Bitcoin, this was the Bitcoin bull market. If we get another, if we manage to get another one, as you can see, we've got these peaks, haven't we? We've got peaks there, and depends on how you want to draw them. If you don't, you could draw it like that, as the peaks. But if we do manage to get another one, it would be a gift, because Bitcoin could easily be done there with an 8x for this cycle. It's possible. So yeah, the main question is obviously altcoins, but then it just then becomes a question of, well, what altcoins? Because again, something like Solana, even if you got it at $20, ended up doing a 13x. Again, that is phenomenal performance, isn't it? Like, phenomenal. Like, to get a 13x on something, if you put $20,000 into it and you walk out with $260,000, or obviously accounting for selling and stuff like that, $250,000, $240,000, that is unbelievable. Again, for ETH, not the greatest. Obviously, probably the biggest letdown, but again, depending on where you bought ETH. If you bought it in and around 1,000, you got out with a 4x. If you managed to ping pong it in this range, you obviously may have been able to compound them. But it may just be a thing of, if you haven't really experienced a bull market, you may have just been in the wrong things, unfortunately, or you may have just timed your entries wrong. And again, it definitely may not be over. Not saying it's over, but for everyone obviously asking when will the bull market start, or will the bull market, whatever, things have been in a bull market. If you actually zoom out on the weekly and actually zoom out, Bitcoin 8x, Solana. If you actually go from the low on Solana, it did like a 40x. Obviously, Hype did like a 5-6x. Sui was phenomenal, weren't it? Sui did like a 10x. There are examples of things that have done really well. Just a case of, obviously, the whole altcoin market hasn't had that kind of real boom. Memes obviously have done fantastic depending on where you got in them. So there definitely has been a bull market. And again, it may not be over. We may still be in a bull market, and we may go on to new highs. But of course, it's not guaranteed to us, is it? Like, everyone, I think, thought Q4 pump, I'll sell into it. So everyone wanted to sell in Q4. So who's going to be the exit liquidity for it? That's the problem, innit? If everyone wants to sell in Q4, who's going to be the exit liquidity? And obviously, it's not going to be the big money in crypto. They're not going to pump the market for just anyone to then be able to just sell into their liquidity. So yeah, I don't know. Only time will tell. You'll have people saying we're in a bear market. You'll have people saying we're still in a bull market. You'll have people saying that the bull market hasn't even begun. You'll have all sorts of different theories, and literally the only thing you can do is pick one that you think fits the best and you think that you most agree with, and then obviously put some conviction behind it. That's all you can really do, and the rest is just time. So 5 minute is your fave. It's definitely, yeah. The 5 minute and the 1 hour are my favorite on crypto. Yeah, obviously for stocks and stuff like that, go a bit high time frame than the 5 minute. But for crypto, yeah, gold works really well on the 10 minute. 30s if there is a big recession or war. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a level on a chart, isn't it? It's possible. I made my profit in Sol this run. Hopefully that will go down to 20. Oh God, Sean's turned big now. He's sold out. Sean's sold and now wants the whole market to be lit on fire. Anyway, we've got 2 minutes to go until US Open, so let's end that poll there. The winner was down, so we'll see what we get on US Open anyway. To be fair, I think the S&P has came into roughly my area that I've marked out. If we can get a strong reaction on this today, that obviously gives Bitcoin some room as well, doesn't it? So let's see. Let's split screen it. And where are we? Here. Let's see. God damn it. $30 seconds to go. That was annoying. And I must say, what we're going to be handed on this Friday, I mean, would be a good day to get a pump up, wouldn't it? On a Friday after a horrendous week, it would be a good day to get some sort of a bounce. Let's see anyway. Let's see. And there we go. There we go, we're open. We made it to the end of the week. Tough week, but there we go. One more US session before the week is over, and we'll have a look back at this being the turning point or this not being the turning point. Wise words, eh? Wise words. I hope we retrace to recover half of that candle, then pump. Imagine if we got some sort of just actual strong momentum in, and we did close this daily green, and we even put in like a real strong, proper candle. Imagine that. Imagine a world where we actually saw a green Bitcoin candle on the daily. This is, by the way, for everyone that doesn't know, this is the 4th straight red weekly candle. We haven't had many of these in Bitcoin's history. We haven't had many of them. So we're definitely on to kind of like, in terms of looking at historical themes, we haven't had many intervals where we've gone more than 4 weeks down in a row. Very concerned as I sold my Bitcoin at 86 and 84. So scared doesn't cover it. I believe it will go to 70. But courage of conviction is needed here. Yeah, well, again, just time in it. We can only see, can't we, Gary? We can only see. Alt season cancelled this cycle. I actually think alts are set up to have a good run into the end of the year if Bitcoin bottoms and pulls its finger out. So if Bitcoin has bottomed here, or it bottoms soon, I actually think that the strength in altcoins that they've shown would actually mean that we'd have quite a good run on altcoins. Again, alt season is a very loose term in it. Like, what do you expect from alt season? A lot of people probably think of like 10, 20, 30, 40x's, 50x. I actually think that we'd have a strong run on altcoins in towards kind of like mid-December from here. If Bitcoin has bottomed and we go on a Bitcoin push, even back up towards 100k, would actually give some proper good returns on like Solana. You know, Bitcoin goes back to 100k for me. I could easily see Solana doing like 20 to 30%. ETH, same. Just obviously waiting on a Bitcoin bottom because dominance has been falling and the actual strength in coins like Solana and ETH has actually remained consistent all on this Bitcoin dump. They haven't really lost any strength against Bitcoin. In fact, Solana's actually gained. So they are in a good position to put in some good numbers in towards, you know, kind of mid-December. FOMC meeting, 10th, maybe a good target. Should Bitcoin get its finger out and put in a bottom and give us a push back up. But again, you know, just time in it. It's just waiting. Nothing else we can do apart from time. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Come on, Bitcoin. Come on, Bitcoin. Give us a big old short squeeze. Come on, Bitcoin. Come on. Friday, but it would actually be quite funny, wouldn't it, if on a Friday, after a whole week of 2 weeks of just horrendousness, on a Friday we just get a big dirty bounce. And that is a good push up so far. That is a good push up so far. Come on, ETH. Pump up to reclaim above 2,800. The thing is, we probably won't get a V reversal in terms of the whole move. We could get a nice reaction, could get a nice daily candle. But ultimately, if you're looking to say back towards 100k or whatever, it is probably going to take like, say for instance, crystal ball, what is the price of Bitcoin in the middle of December, and the crystal ball said 100k or 102k or whatever. It probably is going to take that time from here to then to do it because we had such an aggressive sell-off. It's not just going to obviously V-reverse. It's going to be like kind of like a slower grind, build up, higher highs, higher lows, stuff like that, rather than just complete V-reverse, which is obviously good for trading, you know, good trading aspect. But yeah, we probably won't get kind of that big V reversal that probably people want. But over the next like two to 3 weeks, we could slow grind higher, as long as obviously at some point we put a low in. If this is the low, or if we put it in over the weekend, or God knows when. Obviously for a downtrend to end, you need to put a low in. So it's obviously going to come at some point in it, because at some point the downtrend will end. It's just over a case of from where and when. Get the magnet out, mate. It's broke. It didn't work yesterday. It didn't work yesterday. I don't want to get the magnet out now because I don't want to jinx it, because we're already moving up. So I don't want to jinx it. You see the polarity wrong on the magnet. That was your fault. You set the polarity wrong. Yeah, that was funny though last week. That was so funny when it started moving like alongside. Got the magnet out and it just instantly started ripping. That was so funny. So the S&P is actually not really moving, but in terms of the hourly, that's a nice hourly candle. We're putting in a nice push up now. But again, you know what you really want to watch out for is obviously that we don't just kind of do this and just like roll over like that. And what can you do about that? Nothing really, apart from obviously managing your position. Now, what I would say is daily candle is starting to look very nice. If we can close this green, dare I say, we've probably put a bottom in on this move. I think if we close that, if you put in a strong, that would be a strong candle. Like a green candle would obviously mean, as a minimum, we'd pumped up 7k from the low. I think at that point on, you look for obviously this being a low for now, at least anyway. And then over next week, maybe we kind of like grind up. Obviously, all that's for the taking there. What I'm mainly interested in is obviously a test of this type of area, 100k, and then obviously that then either becomes another lower high. 100k becomes another lower high, or we obviously reclaim and then start going after this. Can you imagine a scenario where Bitcoin gets back to like 105, 108k or something before the end of the year? I think actually people would be broken, wouldn't they? I think people would actually be broken from that. But there's plenty of liquidity to the upside. There is honestly just so much liquidity to the upside. Like, it's actually mad how much liquidity there is to the upside, because like we've just not gone and taken out any of these lower highs. Like, you can literally, like, we've just had no sweeps at all, even from this. I mean, from even higher. I mean, really, you could expand this to all up there. I mean, if we do that, you know, we've got obviously the liquidity above there, above there, above there, above here, liquidity all there, liquidity there, there, liquidity here, here. Honestly, like, the liquidity is mad. That is just waiting to be like taken from the upside, and that will probably be one thing where if we can actually take like a key area and not sell off to new lows. So for my idea, what I'd be looking at probably from here, if we can kind of take this area here, so if we can take 88k, obviously I think from their point we would probably then see a retrace. But if we can finally put in some sort of structure and some sort of higher low going into next week, then that would obviously then lead me to take that would then test the yearly open next. And again, we've tested it once, sold off. We tested the area a little bit there and sold off. Again, you know, that's all for the taking. As soon as we reclaim the yearly open, I think it's like just kind of a laser beam up towards 100k, and it can happen faster than we think. But again, you know, that's obviously, we're just looking at kind of the best case scenarios, aren't we, from here on out? But this is a strong open, really nice open, for really good first 10 plus minutes on Bitcoin finally. Yeah, really good open, positive, and it's, you know, it's showing decent signs. Can we continue? Is the main question, isn't it? Can we continue? Again, you know, we're squeezing quite good now. Bounce, dump, Santa rally, pump. Kind of in the same mindset, mate. Yeah, thinking that we get a rally into kind of mid-December-ish. Does Stonksy show liquidity also? No, but you just, you can see it in a few ways. You can just see it on the chart. I mean, literally, if you just pull up the chart, and this, obviously, you can translate this to lower time frame if you want or whatever, but like liquidity areas are just made from highs and lows, basically. You can also obviously get liquidity in areas of gaps, but basically liquidity areas are just made from highs and lows. That's obviously where like supply and demand live. Also obviously in like gaps in charts too. Or you can just go and have a look at something like the liquidation heat map on CoinGlass if you want. Like, you know, if you look on here, this will basically line up with what we've just said. You know, that's showing 88k there. See that? Hotspot 88k. Didn't even look at this, did I? And what did I say? Up to there, 88k there. Bang, right above that high. So it's literally, you just learn to look for it on a chart. 3-day time frame. 94k. Oh, what did I say? Oh, yeah, right above there. Didn't I? Right above there and there, which would obviously take us into that liquidity area there. You can literally just see it on the chart. But if you do want to use something like this, obviously you can. And again, there you go, you know, 97k. What did I say on the chart? Yeah, obviously we had one here, and obviously that would be a really good liquidity clearance up to there. So you can either look at it on the chart, or using something like the liquidation heat map will obviously give you a hand too. But Stonksy don't do it now. You won't really find an indicator that will show you liquidity zones because they are pretty easy to look for. Just look at heat map. Would be funny if Sailor doubled down at 77k is average. I do remember last time. On the last couple dumps, we've never gone to Sailor's entries. I don't know if anyone remembers, but we've actually never gone to Sailor's entries on dumps. So this one here, we went down to 49k. Sailor's entry at the time was like in the 30s. We didn't go down to there. This one, I know for a fact we didn't come to Sailor's entry down here. I don't know where it was at the time, but it definitely weren't. I think Sailor. I don't know where Sailor's entry was. Let's find out. Where was MicroStrategy's average entry? Let's ask Grok. We've never actually really come down and tested his entry, I don't think. So yeah, they were 66k. As you can see, we come down to 74. The entry was here. So we've never really come down and actually tested the entry. So will we do it this time? I don't know. But that is also kind of one trend, isn't it? It's one kind of weird trend as well, to be fair. But we've never actually really come down on this whole run-up and actually come down to the point where, obviously, minus the point where he was actually underwater, you know, down here, because their average entry was like 30k down here. But once we got above that, we never actually really come down and tested their entry properly. It's also like one kind of like strange and obscure trend, isn't it? Is that we seem to just always be avoiding their entry. Also, his entry's 74k, so it's even lower than you think, Short Video Guru. So it's even a bit lower. But yeah, decent open. Again, you know, we'll see what happens today. We don't really want to run before we can walk. You know, we actually want to see some form of strength, and the lack of selling off. We obviously don't want to go and sell off again from here. But, you know, the signs as it stands are there. They can obviously change very quickly if we haven't bottomed. At the end of the day, once we put a bottom in, the bottom's in, innit? We won't know it's a bottom until, obviously, we get some sort of upside momentum play out. But we'll see what happens. You know, this is a positive move. The market now needs to do its thing. And, you know, we have gone down a lot. So at some point, we are going to get seller exhaustion. It's just obviously where we get that. It's just obviously where we get that from, innit? Seeing a bit of a retrace now from the open pump, which is fine. You know, probably if you're a bit nervous or whatever, you probably don't want to be watching the 5-minute chart. We'll probably move over to like the hourly. But we'll get a key. We'll definitely get an interesting daily close today. That's for sure. Itchy. Yeah, the S&P again. You know, if this thing can push up, then it gives us a real good chance for a squeeze. Again, you know, if this is kind of a bottom and it's came into my area here, you see just very standard SR, kind of the top bit. But you know, if you actually draw a line across, you've got daily closes and tests there. This could just be a standard pullback again on the S&P. Might not be anything too bearish. We've done 6%. What did we do here? 4% there. So if we can push up on the S&P, if this thing can have a good day, then it really gives us a nice opportunity on Bitcoin to really get a good squeeze in. Don't move on to the hourly, I'll cry. Why? Why? Do make sure you drop a big like on the stream. If you're new, subscribe. Of course, if you aren't training on BLOFIN, then you could create an account and you can get some fantastic welcome and deposit bonuses. It is non-KYC, so you just create an account with an email, and that is in the chat now. It's also in the description. Do go create an account on BLOFIN. It's a fantastic exchange because of the last 4 weeks worth of hourly. Yeah. And of course, obviously, if you're watching this stream and you're not signed up to Stonksy, now is a perfect time to do it. We've got 50% off the annual plan with code BLACK50. I will put that into the chat now, and just to help you out, I will put the link to Stonksy in there as well. It is, again, you know, in the description, but I'll put that in the chat too. And yeah, that's obviously our big Black Friday deal. It takes the annual plan to just below 1,000 to just below 500 for a full year. So obviously, you know, if you spread that across the monthly cost in your mind, then that takes it down to under £50 a month to get full access to the indicator and everything. Obviously, you have to buy it as an annual payment, but 50% off is the biggest that you'll ever see on a Stonksy discount. So yeah, it'd be great to have you over. And again, if you've got any questions, email us in. The email is on the website. But yeah, the discount is in the checkout box on the website. So yeah, throw the code in on the checkout box and that'll grab you 50% off the annual. Of course, make sure you're doing it on the annual plan. Goes without saying. But yeah, apart from that, I mean, are we moving up quite nice on others? Let's see, Bitcoin, ETH, yeah, pushing up nicely. That came down, yeah, that came really nice test on the daily, that level is. BNB, yeah, I mean, hype. This thing held very steady. You see that? Held very, very steady, and then ultimately just, whoo, bang. Pump back in towards... Oh, you devil. Look at that on pump. At 7 o'clock this morning. I didn't even notice that. Oh, look at that. Look at that on pump. There you go. So obviously we had this drawn out initially for when it came in here and then bounced. But I mean, look at that. For a tap there on my level. Jesus Christ. I don't know what caused that. That was something... That was big capitulation on pump at 7 o'clock this morning, wasn't it? But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let's see where Bitcoin goes. Of course, I'll be in the Discord server. So if you're in there, you know, you see me obviously chatting away. But yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. Hope you aren't feeling too bad this week again. If you are, hop into the Discord server or message me directly. Of course, if you're not a Stonksy member or CSE member, then you know, you'll catch me on Monday on the streams. So, you know, more than happy to obviously discuss anything that you want. But yeah, hope you have a great weekend. Hopefully we have a better week next week than we've had this week. Again, 4 red weekly candles in a row. Can it really get much worse? We'll find out, won't we? But yeah, this daily close is setting up to be very interesting. Catch you all later. Bye-bye.